Operation Tutti Frutti. How Operation Tutti Frutti began. June 1, 2023. An anonymous complaint in 2015 took months to be analyzed by the Public Prosecutor's Office, but ended up giving rise to a process that was soon stopped for months due to the PJ's lack of resources. To investigate collusion between PSD and PS, party financing, schemes with militant quotas, unemployed advisors paid with public money and other suspicious businesses of former or future deputies, the investigators began by simply tapping a landline telephone. The case was triggered, as often happens when an anonymous complaint arrives at the Attorney General's Office, PGR, Complaints Computer Portal, controlled by the Central Department of Investigation and Penal Action, DCIAP. Registered as N-807, on June 27, 2015, the complaint of a few paragraphs named 4 suspects, the then PSD deputy Sergio Azevedo and 3 advisors from the Social Democratic Party in the municipality of Lisbon, Nuno Vitoriano, Rodrigo Moita de Deus and Patricia Piglet. All would be violating the rules of the Public Contracts Code, namely benefiting, at least since 2013, from a total of between €300,000 and €400,000 obtained through the awarding of fictitious contracts and without any return in work. Not there is documentation or reports that prove the work.
Lock and load.
The operation in question involved 73 people who were accused of active and passive corruption, embezzlement and money laundering. 8 of the accused were employees of the Ministry of Defense. Operation Perfect Storm. Ministry of Defense fires 2 employees. Operation Eureka. Judicial police arrested Italian mafioso in Portugal. He is one of the main elements in the sphere of this criminal organization, revealed the national director of the Judicial Police. The 62-year-old man had lived in the country for several years. Plus, the Judicial Police arrested a man accused of criminal association, money laundering and drug trafficking and seized €500,000 in an operation that is part of the international Operation Eureka. In a statement, the Judicial Police says the police operation took place in Aveiro, Braga, Vila Nova de Gaia and Lisbon, resulting in the arrest of an Italian citizen and the seizure of cash, documents and vehicles amounting to around €500,000.
Operation Admiral the Judiciary Police, through the Northern Directorate, within the scope of an investigation carried out by the EPO, European Public Prosecutor's Office, Porto Delegation, in a joint investigation with the Tax Administration, carried out a police operation today to execute arrest and search warrants domicile and non-domiciliary for the alleged commission of crimes of criminal association, tax fraud and money laundering. It is part of a large-scale operation, carrying out evidence collection efforts in Germany, France, Italy, Spain, Belgium, the Netherlands, Luxembourg, the Czech Republic, Hungary, Greece, Romania, Slovakia, Greece, Austria, Lithuania, and Cyprus. The criminal activity was based on the successive constitution of a complex chain of companies, mostly with the corporate purpose of selling computer equipment on online platforms, which in fact operated by carrying out the necessary acts to cover the amounts of VAT, tax on added value, received from the sale of these products to end customers in a typical missing trader intra-community MTIs fraud scheme, which harms the European Union's coffers. At stake will be fraudulent transactions exceeding €2.2 billion. Following around 100 home and non-home searches carried out in the municipalities of Porto, Matosinhos, Vila Nova de Gaia, Braga, Guimarães, Vila do Conde, Póvoa de Varzim, Coimbra, Figueira da Foz, Lisbon, Corroios, Vila Franca de Xira, Sintra and Funchal. 14 individuals linked to this organization of transnational character and dimension, who were in national territory, were arrested. The police operation involved around 250 members of the Judiciary Police from various departments, as well as 35 members of the tax administration, with the participation of a judicial magistrate and the European prosecutor and 2 Portuguese delegated European prosecutors. During the police operation, cars and other luxury goods, computer equipment, money worth more than 2 million euros were seized, as well as various documentation relating to the commission of the acts. The judicial seizure of around 50 vehicles, 47 properties, and around 600 national bank accounts was also carried out. The detainees will be presented to the competent judicial authority at the Porto Criminal Investigation Court for the first judicial interrogation of the detained defendant and application of coercive measures deemed appropriate. Economic and financial crime. Operation Admiral was launched in November 2022 with investigations in more than a dozen European countries, finding connections with more than 9,000 other companies and 600 people. Court of Guimarães declares itself territorially incompetent to judge Operation Admiral.
Judge expelled and caught in police wiretapping recruiting women to work in a nightclub. The judge expelled in April is under investigation for aiding and abetting illegal immigration, corruption in urban development companies and laundering millions in cryptocurrencies. Judge Helder Claro, who was removed from office in April and is under investigation for aiding and abetting illegal immigration, corruption, abuse of power and office in urban planning deals and money laundering, is now suspected of organizing the arrival of 7 people recruiting women from Brazil to work in a nightclub in Porto. The investigation by the Porto Judicial Police is in its final stages and the indictment, which targets the former judge and a dozen other defendants, must be filed before the court holidays. Operation Mirror. The Judicial Police, through the National Counter-Terrorism Unit, UNCT, launched this Tuesday a major police operation to combat human trafficking in Baixo Alentejo, called Operation Mirror, which resulted in the arrest of 28 people suspected of labor exploitation of migrant workers and the identification of at least 100 immigrants who were victims of exploitation. A major police operation in several towns and municipalities in the Baixo Alentejo region, involving around 480 judicial police officers and a total of 78 search warrants, resulted in the arrest of 28 people suspected of labor exploitation of immigrants of different nationalities, including Romanians, Moldovans, Indians, Senegalese, and Pakistanis, the Judicial Police said in a statement on Tuesday morning. According to Manuela Santos, the complaints never come from the victims themselves, because they are inhibited by members of the criminal structure, but always from people who can observe that something strange is happening. Based on the testimonies collected this Tuesday, the director adds that immigrants complain of very hard and demanding work, with long hours and little space to rest. Perfect Storm 2. Posted on July 7, 2023. The Judiciary Police, in an investigation assigned to the National Anti-Corruption Unit, carried out, today in following Operation Perfect Storm, whose first searches and arrests took place on December 6, 2022, a new police operation aiming at the execution of two search warrants, one for a home search and the other for a non-domestic search, aiming to collect complementary evidence related to suspected criminal practices in the exercise of public functions, namely corruption and economic participation in business. The operation in question, launched within the scope of an investigation held by the Departments of Investigation and Regional Penal Action, DIAP, of Lisbon, which had the collaboration of the Technological and IT Expertise Unit and was accompanied by 2 magistrates from DIAP Regional of Lisbon, took place in the Lisbon region, and a defendant was also constituted. Operation Fizz. The former prosecutor Orlando Figuera will be arrested in the next few hours. Arrest warrants are being executed by the Public Security Police. The former prosecutor was sentenced to 6 years and 8 months in prison for various crimes. The verdict is now final.
Operation Babel. Patrocinio. Azevedo is in custody as part of Operation Babel. The Porto Criminal Court announced on May 19th. Deputy Mayor of Gaia resigns from office.
Operation Babel. Health Minister under investigation for alleged misconduct. November 9, 2023. Drugs were found during searches at the home of the Minister of Infrastructure, says Publico. Hashish was seized, intended for consumption, which is not a crime. It is worth remembering that João Galamba was named by the Ministry of Public Affairs as a defendant in Operation Influencer, which is investigating the lithium and green hydrogen business. The President of the Republic announced on November 9, Thursday night, the decision to dissolve the Legislative Assembly. Operation Influencer. 75,800 euros in cash seized in Vitor Esqueria's office. Vitor Esqueria, Chief of Staff of Antonio Costa, WEF Prime Minister puppet, had the amount of cash in his room in the Prime Minister's official residence. The money was found by the Public Security Police and the public prosecutors of the Ministry of Public Affairs in the framework of Operation Influencer. Operation Night. The former director of the Presidential Museum was sentenced to 6.5 years in prison for abuse of power and embezzlement. The defense has already announced that it will appeal the decision. Operation Maestro. Judicial police carry out searches for fraud against the financial interests of the EU and the Portuguese state published on March 19, 2024. Today, the Judiciary Police, PJ, carried out a police operation to execute 78 search warrants, 31 home searches and 47 non-home searches, which aims to collect evidence related to strong suspicions of the practice of fraud crimes in obtaining a subsidy, qualified tax fraud, money laundering and abuse of power that harmed the financial interests of the European Union and the Portuguese state. The judicial police carried out around 130 searches in Madeira and the mainland. The president of the regional government is accused and the chairman of the Funchal chamber was arrested. The Portuguese Air Force participated in transporting the police from the continent. The businessmen Avelino Farina, from the AFA Group, and Custodio Correa, from Sosacaria, SA, arrested yesterday as part of the judicial police operation, would have enormous control over public works in Madeira, but also over the tourism sector and even communications local social. The mayor of Funchal, Pedro Collado, the third person arrested in the operation, would, according to the investigation, facilitate the lives of businessmen with privileged information and tailor-made decisions. The judicial police carried out a police operation with the aim of carrying out around 130 residential and non-residential searches, as part of 3 investigations led by the Central Investigation and Criminal Investigation Department, DCIAP, in the autonomous region of Madeira, Funchal, Camara de Lobos, Machico and Ribeira Brava, in the Greater Lisbon area, Oeiras, Linda of Elha, Porto Salvo, Bucelas and Lisbon, as well as in Braga, Porto, Paredes, Aguiar de Beira and Ponta Delgada and detaining, in the act, 3 people suspected of committing the crimes under investigation. The arrests in question were carried out on January 24, 2024 at 2:15 p.m. The measures taken were aimed at gathering additional evidence to consolidate the investigation into crimes of active and passive corruption, economic participation in companies, misconduct, illicit acceptance or offering of an advantage, abuse of power and peddling of influence. The operation was attended by 2 criminal investigators, 6 judges from the DCIAP Public Prosecutor's Office and 6 members of the Technical Advisory Unit, NAT, of the Attorney General's Office, as well as 270 criminal investigators and experts from the criminal police.
Oh wow, man.
Oh yeah.
Those arrested will be brought before the competent judicial authority at the Central Criminal Court for judicial questioning and the application of coercive measures. The criminal police also highlights the collaboration of the Portuguese Air Force, whose support was crucial in assembling the human and logistical equipment. Economic and financial crime. Operation Water Drop. The judicial police arrest 20 suspects of falsifying water analyses for human consumption. The operation involves several local authorities, municipal companies and a laboratory. Searches were carried out in 9 districts in the center and north of the country. Operation Marquis. Former PM José Socrates is being tried for 22 crimes, including 3 for corruption. The Lisbon Court of Appeal accepted the arguments from the prosecutor's appeal against the judicial decision of Evo Rosa. The reversal also affects those who were involved in Operation Marquis and have already been acquitted. Operation Ninja Turtle. Swiss police uncover 2,200 pedophiles worldwide. A convicted German led investigators to the suspects. They used his profile on internet platforms to track down other perpetrators. Berlin authorities place children with pedophiles. The Kentler Project in West Berlin routinely placed homeless children with pedophile men, assuming they'd make ideal foster parents. A study has found the practice went on for decades.
Bruh. Why? Why?
Operation #Pink Spam. 3 arrests for unauthorized access to SPMS platforms published on July 10, 2024. The Judicial Police, through the National Unit for Combating Cybercrime and Technological Crime, UNC3T, carried out a nationwide operation aimed at dismantling an organized group dedicated to activities related to cybercrime. The practices attributable to the group were of a varied nature, including illegal access to online platforms for the exclusive use of medical professionals, provided by the Shared Services of the Ministry of Health, SPMS, as well as the Direct Social Security Channel, using server credentials. Access to the platforms provided by SPMS includes the National Epidemiological Surveillance System, SINAVE, dedicated to public health surveillance, with the dissemination of data related to communicable diseases, the Vignette and Prescription Request Portal, PRVR, which is responsible for centralizing the process of obtaining medical vignettes and prescription pads that are made available to prescribing physicians, the Electronic Prescription of Medicines, PM, a medical prescription and dispensing system, and also the Death Certificate Information System, SECO, which is responsible for issuing and electronically transmitting death certificates for the purpose of issuing death certificates. All these platforms were accessed using medical ID cards stolen by infostealers, malware designed to extract passwords and sensitive information from infected computers, and subsequently sold on websites linked to the deep web, where leaks are made available of data and information collected on compromised systems. This activity allowed access to the personal data of doctors and a large number of patients, the issuance of death certificates for targets selected by the group, and the issuance of more than 350 medical prescriptions related to anxiolytics, antidepressants, and opioids. Operation Pandora 7. Interpol. International art trafficking operation leads to 60 arrests and over 11,000 objects recovered. 130 investigations are still ongoing. Guardia Civil. Operation Mobile 6. Public security police help recover stolen cars and boats. Operation Mobile 6 also identified 209 people for migrant trafficking. Operation Epicenter. Operation Epicenter involved the complete siege of the Campum area in the early hours of the morning by dozens of inspectors of the Judicial Police with the support of the National Police and the armed forces. The Cape Verdean Judicial Police arrests 6 people and seizes several types of drugs. Operation Labyrinth. Criminal police dismantles organized criminal drug trafficking network. Published on July 3, 2024. The National Unit for Combating Drug Trafficking of the Criminal Police has been conducting an operation to combat international drug trafficking by sea in recent days, the aim of which was to dismantle a structured criminal network operating in the Netherlands and Portugal. This operation was carried out simultaneously in both countries and made it possible to dismantle the infrastructure of the organized crime group, which was accused of drug trafficking, participation in a criminal organization, hostage-taking and kidnapping. 2 foreign citizens aged 48 and 52 were arrested, one of them based on an arrest request from the Netherlands, the other was wanted internationally by Interpol and has several arrest warrants outstanding against him for murder.
Operation Al-Muassasa. Europol dismantles the online network of the terrorist group Islamic State and arrests suspects in Spain. An international operation involving European countries and the United States has dismantled critical infrastructure on the Internet and disrupted communication platforms linked to the terrorist group Islamic State, and arrested 9 suspects in Spain, Europol announced this Friday. P.S. The operation was nicknamed Al-Muassasa, Arabic for the company.
Operation Veracruz 2. 7 arrests related to computer crime and money laundering. The Judicial Police, through the National Unit for Combating Cybercrime and Technology Crime, in collaboration with the Public Ministry of the District of Faro and Interpol, launched a police operation yesterday aimed at executing 11 search warrants to dismantle the national structure of a criminal organization dedicated to banking phishing. Through fraudulent real estate loans, the criminal group collected millions at the expense of the banking sector. Operation Orange resulted in 6 arrests and dozens of properties seized. 6 suspects arrested for €40 million fraud in the Algarve real estate sector. Operation Jackal Phase 3. Police seize millions in illegal assets, including cryptocurrencies and luxury items. Lyon, France, a global law enforcement operation targeting West African organized crime groups, including Black Axe, has led to hundreds of arrests, the seizure of assets worth $3 million, and the dismantling of multiple criminal networks around the world. Operation Jackal, which ran from April 10 to July 3 across 21 countries on 5 continents, targeted online financial fraud and the West African syndicates behind it. The annual operation resulted in some 300 arrests, the identification of over 400 additional suspects, and the blocking of more than 720 bank accounts. Operation Concert. The inspectors of the Judicial Police, who carried out 34 searches as part of the investigation into alleged corruption in public contracts with communications agencies led by Luis Bernardo and João Tacha, went to the site with orders for the mission that read, Operation Fratelli. However, the name changed in the middle of the search. The Judicial Police also searches the headquarters of Luis Bernardo's company on suspicion of corruption. Fratelli, an Italian word, means brothers. This name is used to address members of Masonic organizations. At least one of the main businessmen investigated, João Tacha, is a Freemason, and the investigations carried out over the past 2 years revealed indications that the suspects formed a kind of brotherhood for sharing purposes and capital gains. In fact, Luis Bernardo and João Tacha's companies are suspected of taking turns awarding contracts in public procurement procedures in which public authorities solicited bids from different companies in order to obtain the best price.